Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of our brand new podcast, The Caster's Desk. And as you can already see on the screen, I am joined by my beloved co-caster and friend Leonard Koenig. Leo, this has been a project that we wanted to tackle for quite a while now already, and I'm super excited that we get to start this now.
Yes, I'm also really hyped. I've had a little bit of a break over the summer, not being at any world championship. So I'm really excited to get in front of a camera again and just talk stupid stuff with one of my best friends, to mention it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sebastian Lemke. I'm really happy that we are going to do this now.
Same, absolutely. So you already mentioned that you are hopping in front of a camera. So for the people that just listen to this on Spotify, we are also going to record this live on my Twitch channel. So this will be available on Twitch, on YouTube, and also on the Spotify app. So wherever you enjoy your podcast, you can just take care of it and listen to this. And I think we have a couple of very interesting things to talk about. And actually, for this first episode, which makes sense because it's the beginning of something, we will also be talking about the beginning of our casting careers. And funnily enough, there is stuff we have never talked about on air just yet, I think. Even though we have talked about so much stuff already, because we're doing this for a while now, I think there is still stuff we have not talked about yet. So there is some new stuff to be consumed today.
Yeah. Yesterday, when I was lying in bed before going to sleep, I just thought about all the crazy stuff that happened to us over the years. So there are also some fun stories that have happened that we can finally tell about. It's been a amazing journey so far, and I'm really hyped to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is now middle to end of 2023, and our casting careers actually began quite a while ago. So let's structure this a little bit. We met very early on in our casting careers, but we did not start together immediately. So we had two different starting points. And I would say, let's just start with you. What was your first contact to casting in general, to casting whatever?
So the Card Sports League back in the day posted something on Facebook saying, "Hey, do you want to commentate over a regional? We are trying to do some streams for the community." And I thought that could be fun. So my first commentary was, I think, over a 60 people regional somewhere in Germany. I have no idea where, but it was a city which I've never heard of before. And I did it together with the Swiss legend Robin Bachhofner.
Oh, true, yeah. And
I think.
was it just that you said it could be fun, or did you have any further intentions? Did you think this could be something I could be really good at, that I maybe could do at the big stage? Or was it just something you were like, hey, I'm young, I think this could be fun, let's do this?
I never had any intentions of doing this on a bigger stage or something. I just thought I was in a theater class in school, and I sometimes am a bit funny. So maybe this could be fun for other people as well. So I just went at it, and it kind of worked out. So we did the first couple of tournaments there. I was basically spending like in a 3 weeks interval, I think. I did some random commentary on random regionals, and people started to enjoy it. And then I met you. I mean, I met you before at the tournament where you gave me a game loss at YCS Rimini. But at some point, I think half a year in, we got our first in-person meetup, right?
So to elaborate a little bit further on our first in-person contact, because some people of the podcast world might not know it yet, but I was a judge in my former life before casting, basically. And YCS Rimini was an event that I attended as a judge and Leo as a player. And Leo played the almighty Monarch deck, and his domains, they were something to be concerned about for me as a deck check person, and therefore I had to give him a game loss because they were bended quite a bit. But I mean, you got a game loss, but obviously if you are aware about penalties and so on, that means there was no intention to be had. It was just that your cards were banded a little bit too much, and I couldn't resist giving you a game loss.
I borrowed the cards from a friend, and he just got the cards for free from random people. So all of those cards were quite heavily damaged, which is a mistake bringing those to a tournament, which I will never do again. But Well, that was quite funny. I ended up winning the game 2-1, by the way, against the person who went second place, I think, at the YCS, Leonard Nena.
At this YCS? Or
Yeah,
what?
at the YCS I got the game loss at.
So you beat him even though you got a game loss, and then he went on to got second place?
Yep, exactly.
How did I never understand that? That's such a crazy story, actually.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I remember that he also beat Umut Serin in top 8. Leonard Nena, quite an eager player, but I mean, I played Domain Monarch versus Burning Abyss, so
Oh, yeah,
if
okay.
he does not find the Twin Twisters, I just win.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, okay, but getting back to the casting aspect of all of it, so you were already getting in touch with casting there on. You were immediately connected to casting Yu-Gi-Oh events. You basically initiated that by yourself. For me, it was a little bit different, actually. So, as I said, I was always a player of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, and I was also judging quite a bit for a while, for example, for that event in Rimini and for multiple YCSs in a row. And then I also kind of got a little bit into judging and playing a bit of Force of Will, which is a TCG. I don't even know whether that's still around, but it was like pretty cool in the beginning. I think, when was that? It must have been like 2018, 19 or something around that.
Samir Bashar just win a Force of Will Grand Prix
True.
right after he won the YCS.
True. Yeah, there was something like that. So it somehow, at least in France, is still around. But yeah, the thing is, it was brand new in Europe and also in Germany. And it was like a game where all of a sudden they wanted to do live streams for. And I was judging, and just that one random guy from the company that was doing the organized play for Force of Will back in the day was like, "You're good at talking. Come on, you are a caster now for this event." And I'm like, "I've never done this before. I have no idea how to cast." He's like, "You will be fine. You will be fine." So I did cast one of those Force of Will events, and it went pretty decently well. And from there on, now the coincidences are happening. This guy was also involved with Card Sports League. And you were just mentioning Card Sports League. They were like an up-and-coming company trying to do live streaming for events. And they were starting with you for those little regionals, and they were looking for casters. So I did not actually apply to them as you did for also being a caster, but that guy, Mario, in fact, is his name. You also know him. He introduced me to the Card Sports League guys and was like, "Hey, he did pretty well at that casting event for Forcible. You should try him out for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he's actually a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player." And that's why I got also into that casting circle for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Circuit for the Card Sports League. And from there on, funnily enough, you said you did some remote jobs, but I think I never did a remote job before we met in person. We were talking about this before we started the stream. I'm still not 100% sure because you were like, we probably did some remote events before that. But I think the first event we casted together, in my memory, was one where we sat down next to each other in person.
I was down there in the mud with the bad quality remote streams, and you just got straight to the in-person jobs with a small studio in Bastille. You are so privileged to caster, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's still today, of course. Still today. It's still today that the hotels are greeting Mr. Sebastian Lemke, but Leonard König does not have any greetings in his room. It is an ongoing story, that's for sure. I am the privileged caster. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just a privileged caster. Let's lean in on that. But no, in fact, that brought us to the first event that we were casting together. And yeah, Card Sports League, basically the company that connected us, you could say. Because yeah, we knew our faces before that. We probably maybe knew our name. I couldn't even say... Wait, I did know your name because I remembered you from Austrian Nationals back in the day. Because do you remember the Austrian Nationals where you were together with Lukas Windel? And I was judging at that event too, where Lukas Windel won back in the day. And I remembered your group of people there, actually.
I mean, our group, Team Trent, was an absolute fantastic group of people. So of course I remember them, but I didn't know your name, actually.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I knew your face. I was sure that you are that one funny guy from Western Germany somewhere.
Yeah, that's me. Sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. And so then there was a studio for the Card Sports League. It wasn't really like, when we say studio, it sounds like a proper set up stage, a big studio or something. I don't know what you guys are imagining. But in fact, Matze, a very great guy, very much also responsible for us to start out as casters because he supported us very, very heavily. And he had his flat. He was living in Magdeburg, right?
Yeah.
And basically, one of his rooms was the studio.
Yeah.
One of his rooms was the studio, and so Magdeburg is kind of close to Berlin. It's like 2 hours or something, a little bit more. And so for me, it was easy peasy to get there, to cast that first event together with Leonard Koenig. And we're like, for real, like, I remember you telling me at some point, oh, I did not want to cast with this guy. This guy looked like a freaky guy from Berlin. I didn't know what to think about it. They were like, yeah, you're going to cast with this guy now. I casted with Robin Backhofen, the big guy before, and now I have to go with this funny dude from Berlin. What is this? And then we met in person. And honestly, the moment we really met and the moment we really started casting together, it clicked. I cannot remember a moment where it was awkward casting with you, for real. Like, it's just as crazy.
We've always vibed. Sometimes, especially in the beginning, some of us did some stupid mistakes, which I'm not gonna elaborate on, and then the other one was like, should you have said that now? But yeah, it was never really awkward. But you said that Magdeburg quite close to Berlin, 2 hour drive. Not for me. So I have really nostalgic memories about Matze's apartment in Magdeburg. However, I was living in Paderborn at the time, which is in East North Rhine-Westphalia, which is still, it's a bit closer to Magdeburg than where I am now. But I had to take a Flixbus at midnight from Paderborn
Oh boy.
to go to Hanover. I was in Hanover at 3 a.m. I stayed there for 2 more hours, and then I took another bus to Magdeburg. So I arrived there at, I think, 6, and then Matze picked me up, luckily, at the train station or at the bus station. And yeah, then I remember being completely tired. I had like 3 hours of sleep at max. You can't sleep in those buses. It's basically impossible. And yeah, then the smell of fresh baked bread was fantastic. Sit there, have some bread with chocolate and stuff, and then just wait for starting the casting. That was fantastic, actually.
Yeah, and then I didn't even remember what it was, but you found out earlier the first event that we casted together. Yeah, you found it out. So you go ahead. What was that event that we casted there?
Oh, that was. Oh, I just looked it up and I completely forgot. CSL in Karlsruhe.
I think it's just a regional. I think it was a pretty big regional
yeah.
in Karlsruhe. Yeah, so it was in Karlsruhe, which is ironically enough also a location that we now regularly go back to because we are also working together as casters with Raid and Trade and so on. So like they also from there on have grown quite a bit. Like this is basically, it's kind of funny how coincidentally many of the people involved in our casting career have also done pretty big careers themselves. Like all of like the people involved with that, the Card Sports League, because we're going to talk about later how well of a development the Card Sports League also took, and also us as casters, I would say we got quite a bit. And then also, of course, Raid and Trade is now one of the most famous stores in Europe for Yu-Gi-Oh! And for other card games as well. So it's pretty sick, actually, that we all profited so well and all went into so great directions from there on. But yeah, that was just, as I said, the moment it all clicked. From there on, we basically were never ever questioning again that we were lined up together as casters. And luckily enough, it was not only the click between us two, but also the people from Card Sports League realizing that we are a good casting duo, right? I think they pretty quickly acknowledged that, and they were like, okay, whatever we are going to have in the future regarding casting gigs or regarding tournament streaming gigs, we will probably include you two guys as casters. So that was very fortunate for us, of course, because we just had a starting point where we could immediately have the chance to cast multiple events in the future.
Yep, and they also we had people who trusted us. That was really supporting, knowing that they want us to cast for them.
Yeah.
Felt really good. And also try to get like other gigs later on. And you were part of a team back then, right? So I enjoyed it quite a lot. And from then on, we had so many different tournaments. We did some remote stuff together.
Yes,
I know that.
Absolutely, we did. And honestly, those were also super, super fun, but in a different way, because we at some point had that one tournament series. It was like you were just saying team. There was like some team competition, also hosted by Card Sports League, where teams would be playing against each other, and it would be very regular. It would be like once or twice per week. And so we would be sitting down to cast Yu-Gi-Oh! Once or twice per week. So it would be almost a ritual for us. And we would be so blessed to have that opportunity to cast so much Yu-Gi-Oh! And to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh! So quickly, or better at casting Yu-Gi-Oh! Rather so quickly. Because at the end of the day, basically with everything in life, of course you can have initial talent, but then practice will just make you better. If you can practice something, it will just get better and better and better. That's very obvious. And we just had the chance. And I think actually in the field we are in right now, in casting Yu-Gi-Oh! Events or in casting events in general, this sometimes can be a little bit of a problem for people that want to get started in casting, because it's not that easy to find events that you are going to cast as a caster that has no experience.
Yeah, you will have to find someone who is willing to stream something.
Yeah.
It's not worth streaming every event, because if you want to keep up with the quality of other streams, then you will have to invest first. And if you're only hosting locals, then it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Many spots for casters are already taken, so it's really not that easy, and it helped us a lot. It also gave me a newfound respect for tournament organizers, because we also had to do some organizational stuff, which wasn't always easy. Dealing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Players is sometimes a bit difficult.
Of course, we all know that. We are Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, so all of us know that.
Exactly. Not to say that I don't love you all, but still, it can be difficult. But that was a lot of fun. We also did the Card Market series at some point when the Card Sports League worked with Card Market together. Also, we again did that in Magdeburg. That was a really nice gig for us as well. So always, every time we were in Magdeburg, it was just a lot of fun with Matze and of course with Basti. Just playing Time Wizard formats because before it was cool. Like after the tournament ended in the living room of Matze, that was fantastic.
True. That was big time fun, for real. Like traveling to those events nowadays, it's almost a little bit like a routine already. Okay, there's another big event, I'm most likely going to be involved as a caster, and so you just do your thing again. And of course, we're striving to do it the best we can, but still, like, by now it has settled in that we are able to deliver on a high level in terms of casting. But back in the day, it was like we had no reputation. We were just new into the scene. There were no real casters established besides Oliver German, pretty much. And maybe for the European circle, which we didn't even dream about. For the European circle, which were the big casters back in the day? I mean, Marcello always was there, right? So nowadays we work together with him, but he was always there. And who else was there back in the day?
Champagne.
True, Champagne. Oh, true. He still also is in there, for real.
Withington, Matthew Bell.
True. Yeah, true. The Konami employees just casted a whole lot more back in the day, and now they kind of brought it back over to the casters that just get hired for the casting gigs. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. So at some point, I got the chance, or we got the chance. No, I don't even think you were involved in that. My first big in-person tournament where I was at the venue, especially, was the CSL Grand Open in Berlin.
I was not involved in that yet. And I think I did not even cast an event at that point. Somehow, your start must have been actually like maybe even half a year earlier or something. Because, I mean, you casted that with Robin. And I think since we both casted our first event together, you never casted with Robin again. Because I think from there on, it was mostly just us, to be honest. Because it was just working out so well. And also Robin, I think, was trying to play a whole lot more and so on. Yeah. I think all of that was just before we even casted our first event together. But tell us about your first in-person gig, because that's something special, right?
Yeah. was incredibly exciting. At this point, I was already a bit used to talking in front of a camera,
Yeah.
but then I had to do a little introduction in front of almost 200 people on a stage, which was nerve-wracking, which it still is today. I also do other gigs where I have to be on stage, and that is really making me nervous. The last time I thought I would fall down because my knees couldn't hold me anymore, but don't tell anyone. No, the Card Sports League event was actually really fantastic. It was really nice to, for the first time, feel this atmosphere of a real tournament. Before that, it was just casting, interacting with chat, having a little bit of fun. But then after each round, you just walk through the top tables, you see all of those people that you love and that you know, you get to talk to the players, hear those incredible stories. Hey, I just beat this and this guy. Look what happened in this game. You feel a little bit of the tension where people know, okay, I can top this event. I really want to go at it. And you just get a little bit more of the emotions of the players. And then I really fell in love with casting, because doing it at the point of the tournament, at the location of the tournament, is just completely different from doing it remotely.
100% agree. Like, in-person casting is a different beast, because the emotional aspect that you just pointed out so greatly is really such a big part about it, because casting also, at least for the both of us, is about emotions. We're trying to get emotions involved. We're trying to get the emotions to the viewers at home, and therefore having those emotions going through your body while you are in the venue, while you are part of a tournament, is just so much easier, because you can just basically, those emotions go through your body and you can just immediately shout them out again to the community at home. So that's actually just a lot easier and a lot better, and I 100% agree. And from there on, actually, I don't even know how that went down. You have to explain me, and I think you never really did explain to me just yet. Somehow we never talked about it, but from there on, you casted German nationals. Which was the year of your first German nationals cast? It must have been 2017?
2018, where I also won nationals in the Netherlands, which I'm
weird flex.
never tired of mentioning.
Yeah, but the thing is, so for some reason, we both started out in 2018. I think we now kind of pictured that you started a little bit earlier, because you were also doing stuff with Robin before I even got involved with all the other stuff. And then, how did it come that you then were invited to join the casting team for German nationals? Because, spoiler alert, I was not.
How did that happen? I just got a message at some point. I think that people have picked up on me doing an okay job, and they wanted to try out something new for the coverage, bring some fresh air into it.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there with Oliver German and Umut Serin. We were a trio, and both of them just initially thought, okay, who's this guy? Is this going to work out? But they were quite satisfied with how I rolled there. And then the year after that, it was only us casting and Oliver German as a host.
Yeah, true. So I think, I mean, from there on, it really picked up. So at that point at German Nationals, you did a couple of things, and you did more things than me for sure. And I just basically just got started. Maybe did like 1 or 2 events or something. I think before, just trying to picture a timeline here, our first cast together in Magdeburg, which we're talking about, probably only was 1 or 2 months before German Nationals, if I would have to guess. I don't think it was that much longer. And therefore, I was just starting out as a caster. You had like maybe 3 or 4 more events of experience. And I mean, I didn't even expect to be involved at German Nationals. And I can tell you, without even lying, at the beginning of my casting career, I always still find it a little bit weird to call it career, but I mean, that's at the end of the day what we made out of it. I did never ever expect to go up the ladder like that. For me, It was just, hey, this sounds like fun. Hey, I did playing, I did judging. Why not trying out casting? And then I just realized, hey, this is incredible fun, and people are telling me I'm decently good at it. So let's do this. Let's do this as much as possible. Like, every casting gig that someone is offering to me from now on, I will take, because I like it. And I can just do, and I like, at that point, I was like, hey, I will take everything that I can do, because it may end at some point. Let's just, as long as it's in this state right now, let's just take all the gigs that I can get, because right now the people want me, and then at some point it will stop. At some point it will just, of course, stop. But yeah, I mean, 5 years later, fast forward, we're still sitting here talking about what we do for partly a living, right?
That is true. I came into this with no intentions of casting more or big events, and let me tell you, I cried my eyes out when I was asked for German nationals. That was like the highest honor for me. Of course, I was playing for years and years at this point already.
Yeah.
And I was playing a whole lot back then. I was basically playing every single day, locals twice or thrice a week, as often as I could. Arrange it with uni, where you always got the shorter end of the stick. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, it was just crazy to just cast the German nationals, and from that point on, from the first German nationals, there was actually quite a longer break, because it took a while until we got to do the first YCS, which we got to do together.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm just trying to figure out, was our first YCS cars before or after our first Dragon Ball cast? Because that also happened at some point.
I really want to talk about this, because we can actually go through this entire weekend, because it was just so much fun.
Yeah, people don't really know about it. I think I never really talked about it on stream, but that was a really, really fun weekend. And I mean, let's just start with it. Even I don't know whether that was before or after, but at some point, also through Card Sports League, we were asked to cast Dragon Ball in Brussels. And it was like a super, super cheek tournament, only invitational, 60 players or something, best of Europe. And prices were insane. And the location on top of that, holy guacamole, you will not even believe it. At that time, I did not even know that's possible, but we were freaking in the balls. That's somehow easy to misunderstand, but we were in those... we were in the Atomium. If you know Brussels, there's like one big sign for Brussels. That's like this cool art thing, and it's everywhere in every picture regarding Brussels. And actually there are those... Give me a different word for balls, please, Leo.
The parts of the atom.
Parts of the atom. And you can actually go into those. And so in one of those, at that particular weekend, in those spheres, actually, thanks, chat. In those spheres, in one of them for that weekend, there was a Dragon Ball Z tournament held, the card game. And it was actually really fun. We were there with our production crew from Card Sports League, and we did some really cool shots there. Just as a general thing. But now let's get into detail, because there was a lot of stuff happening this weekend. Oh boy.
Yeah, so I think you arrived on your own there. I went with the production crew. We had a really fun car ride.
Yeah, but for some reason, I arrived like 5 hours earlier than you. So I was the one that didn't book anything whatsoever. I was just told to come there, and nobody even told me that I would be there 5 hours earlier than the rest. So I come there to Brussels, and I'm like, so yeah, I'm here. Like, where are we staying? Oh yeah, there's this one Airbnb that we booked, and it's here and there. You can already go there and maybe try to get the keys. And I'm like, okay, sure. I will try that. And so I got in touch with that Airbnb person, and it worked. It worked. He gave me the keys, and I got into the Airbnb already, which was, the Airbnb itself was kind of nice, right? Yeah, I think it was quite enjoyable.
I loved it. I thought it was super cool, to be honest. This Airbnb was great. However, the neighbors. I think.
Yeah, what was the first, like, when I was there alone? Oh yeah, good, exactly. So I already, because I was there 5 hours early, I went to the supermarket and got a couple of drinks for all the people already, so that when they are arriving, they would be welcomed in a decent fashion. And so I went out of the door, brought the stuff from the supermarket back in, closed the door. 5 seconds later, bum 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 bum, knocks at the door. And when you're at an Airbnb, you don't expect people to knock on your door, because like, you don't live there. Like, why are people knocking on the door? So I go there, look through this little hole in the door. There's a woman standing in front of it. I'm like, what could happen here? Worst case. So I open the door. And she's like, please, this was way too loud. Pay attention to how loud you are when you're working the stairs. When you're closing the door, this was just way too loud. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's settle for this. Probably, I could have at that point told her it's probably going to be louder later on because there's 4 or 5 more persons coming. But she just actually, I thought telling her at that point would have not made it any better. I was like, let's end this discussion here. I hope I'm never talking to you again in my entire life. But sure, let's end it here. But yeah, fast forward, and you can take over from here.
Yeah, so we arrived later on, and we had a great time meeting Basti again. Everyone was really excited for the Dragon Ball Super Tournament. We haven't done anything like it. We are not too familiar with the game. We were there to host it, and we were not too familiar with the anime, me at least. I was with my girlfriend back then. I was watching all of the movies that I could, and I was actually enjoying it quite a lot. So we came there, we had a nice night, and I think at some reasonable hour we went to bed.
Yeah.
Nothing weird happened that night. Next morning, we woke up really early because we had to do the build-up, at I think 5 a.m. or something. So everyone was taking showers. I remember someone from the CSL crew was blow-drying his hair. And all of a sudden, bam! I was actually making a vlog because one of my friend groups always had this thing where we were doing vlogs for each other when we go to events. And it's really nice. If you have a big friend group and you're doing vlogs and sometimes you miss each other on events, you could just still see what's going on with your friends. So I was making this vlog. I was saying, I slept well. The neighbors appear to be crazy. I don't know. Basti told me something like that. And in the middle of this video, we just heard someone slamming on the door. And everyone was shocked. Everyone was standing still. So I saw the fear in the eyes of the production crew, and we were like, "Nobody move. No, maybe she's going away if nobody moves." And then we heard the knocking again. Nobody moved. Nobody was able to open the door and just talk to the woman. We were all just so scared. And all of a sudden she yells, "This is too loud! I'm going to call the police! This is harassment!" And we were like, nobody moved. Nobody moved. So we let our neighbor just yell her soul out, which was okay. We tried to blow dry our hair a bit.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of loud? Silenter. And eventually we got to the venue, to the Atomium. At some point after I did not figure out how to work the coffee machine. That was the weirdest layout I have ever seen on a coffee machine. Not relevant information here, but we got to the Atomium, and it was honestly so impressive, right? We had to take 1 billion stairs to get up to the venue. And the Atomium itself is also like an exhibition center, if I'm not mistaken. People are paying to get in there. There are always art exhibitions or museum kind of stuff. And the Dragon Ball Super Tournament.
Last but not least, also of course, a Dragon Ball Super Tournament.
Of course, we got our badges. I still have mine somewhere here or in my boxes in the basement.
Yeah.
But we got to meet our co-casters who were fantastic. Those were super nice and lovable, and they explained all the stuff to us. We were working out some puns with them, or I was at least. So I was mentioning to them that I was. So the problem is, wait a second.
Sure.
I hope we can cut this. Where was I? Yes. So we were in this venue with the co-casters that was working out the puns. So now I have my track back. I was going to do the intro. This isn't going to be amazing. This is going to be Dragon Ball Super. And then that was my big joke for the tournament, which was about medium funny.
So, speaking about jokes that are medium funny regarding Leonard Koenig, you may have noticed in the casting team that we have formed over the years, that is his part. Yeah, so he is responsible for the medium funny to sometimes decently funny jokes, and I'm there to respond to them in some fashion. Sometimes I have 3 ways of handling them, basically. The first way is ignoring them. Works super well, for real. Works super, super good. He will look at you from the side for maybe 5 to 10 seconds, but you're done with it after. Topic done. So I very often go for that. Second option is say, oh yeah, that's funny, for like a quick moment. He will be happy. Also works pretty quickly because he's like, yeah, he said that's funny. We're done with it now as well. So cool.
It just motivates me.
And third option, rarely take it. Don't advise to take it to other people casting with Leo. Is telling him this was not funny, arguing with him about the joke, because that just makes from normal casting where there is a pun in between, it goes to normal casting discussing the pun for I don't know 1 minute or something. So the whole casting speech now is about the pun that ruined the whole casting.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you are such a great caster and that you understand that discussing my jokes is not really part of the plan. So sometimes ignoring it or just saying that it is funny is really the best play there. But I still do hope that sometimes people find those puns funny.
Yeah, as I said, yes, they are decently funny sometimes. I genuinely laugh at them from time to time. I gotta admit.
So there was this one joke, a bit off topic, that I made at German Nationals 2019 together with you, and I didn't even find it funny. I did not find it funny. It was just something I said. And after that, so many different people came to me and told me that they were cracking up about it, that this was legit the funniest thing that I've ever said.
That's cool.
Someone summoned Harmonizing Magician. I said, and now he's getting harmonized. And people were dying about it. And I did not, as to this day, still, I don't understand why.
That's funny. But also, what you see, or you if you are just listening to us on Spotify, you realize how I take care of those situations. But yeah, I think we kind of jumped over one thing. So we are done with the side quest now of the Dragon Ball Super event in Brussels. It was big fun. You were seasick for two-thirds of it, but let's cut this out because like the Atomium, if you see it in front of you, it's quite big and it's quite far in the air, and also the strings attached to it are quite thin. So actually, it is moving when there is wind, and there was wind, and then Leo got seasick. But okay, yeah, let's end this part. But because you were saying, yeah, you cast the first German nationals together with Umut and Ollie on your own, and then 2019 I joined the crew. But there was something very, very major in between, which also was Yu-Gi-Oh! Related, was also a major event, and also was together with the Card Sports League and Matze. Now you tell me, what was it? You could not forget, please. This was so much fun. This was so much fun.
Did we have the Invitational at the...
Oh, I forgot about this one, actually. But we could talk about the Invitational as well, but that's not the one I was referring to.
HDK?
Nah, it's way bigger than that. It's actually an official tournament that we casted.
Did we cast an LLDS?
No, we casted Austrian Nationals in 2000.
Right! Oh, that was insane!
Yeah, that was low-key insane. Oh, 2019 it was, right? Should have been 2019. And I mean, it was right before German Nationals, only a couple of weeks before German Nationals. And I think it was because Card Sports League was still kind of starting out with providing the equipment and stuff for streaming jobs. We were kind of doing it for very, very cheap. So normally, Austrian Nationals don't have a stream, but because like the whole Card Sports League team and we were like, yeah, we want to do this, and we want to do this for... we, of course, want to do it because we love casting, and they want to do it because they want to get into the scene of being a stream provider, basically. And therefore, like, we made it happen to have a stream for Austrian Nationals in 2019. We drove there together by car with Matze's car. How could you forget? I'm telling you, I'm calling you out. How could you forget about that car ride? It was insanity.
That was the craziest car ride ever. So the car was really compact. It was really small. And I'm a tall person. So that was, first of all, for 12 hours, not the most comfortable position.
Was it 12 hours?
Yeah, the car ride was 12 hours.
Holy, I did not remember it being that long.
So I went from Paderborn to Magdeburg, which makes no sense at all, which was like a 7-hour bus ride again, or 5-hour with a little break in between. To then, like, I went up in Germany to then go down to Austria.
Okay, so your total ride was 12 hours. Let's just, because
No.
there's no way it was 12 hours from Magdeburg to Salzburg.
Can someone? No. We are going to check on this again. This is what it felt like.
Because chat is already questioning it. 12 hours. I mean, I think we were stuck in traffic, so it was longer than it should have been. But I would have said it was like 8 to 9 hours or something. That would have been my guess. But it certainly was long. It certainly was long. So go on with your story. You were sitting in that small car there for way too long.
So, and Basti, as he always does on car rides, just was asleep for 90% of the time.
Yep. I do enjoy my car sleep.
And Basti was sometimes waking up and he started to rap. He woke up for 20 seconds and just spit verses. He was lying there with his mouth open. And all of a sudden, he basically sat up and he went, "Yeah, your grandma's funeral. Inappropriate!" And then he went back to sleep.
Honestly, that was so much fun. And also, it set the tone for the entire weekend because you guys could not stop talking about that. And therefore, because normally nobody tells me that I'm good at rapping or that I like, or nobody even notices me rapping, like, because I do it very infrequently and I'm not very good at it. Obviously, yeah, because I don't know how to rhyme very well and so on. But this weekend, I was a rap star. I was running the rap show. Like, people were recognizing my rap performances. I was actually the superstar, and on top of that, I was casting Yu-Gi-Oh! So it was basically the best weekend of my entire life, if you're being honest.
I can imagine. But we also had another like musical incident there. We had the entire stuff there with judges and the production crew.
Yeah.
And for some reason, there is even a video. We sang "I Want It That Way" together from the Backstreet Boys. And Matze, you and I had one chorus, or one verse rather. So it was starting with you and then Matze. And when I wanted to sing, Matze just sang my part and stole my thunder. And I am still incredibly mad about this.
I mean, we were way freakier back in the day than we are now. Like, why don't we just randomly start singing nowadays at YCS, as people are probably asking themselves? Nowadays, we just walk around there wearing our suits, looking all angry at everyone, and nobody is singing anymore. How did we change, Leo? How did we change so fast?
We should start singing again at YCSs with some players. So if you see us, approach us and sing with us. We are going to, if we know the lyrics, we're going to chime in. I promise.
I do know a lot of lyrics. I'm very good at knowing lyrics. I just want
Unless
to...
we're near the players, because then we don't want to distract them.
Yeah.
Important. Tournament integrity is one of our like primary rules that we are following, so we don't disturb anyone.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So that was a fantastic weekend, even though the ride there was so painful. Because I mean, I think on the ride back, I only slept for like half of the time, so we could even talk a little bit more and could rewind a little bit. And I mean, just in general, the Austrian community is very, very friendly. You've been there as a player as well before, and I noted that earlier. And I've been there as a judge before. And it's just, they are super, super welcoming, super, super friendly, super warm. I always enjoy being there. And they were so happy for them to have a live stream, because they usually don't have one. And so they were happy about having a live stream. We were super happy about running a live stream. So it was all just super, super fun.
Yep, and we also got some really nice compliments, especially from Marcel Hansch, a really hot player at the time. Still also active to this day, I think.
Yeah.
He also said, "You know what? I love your guys' commentary because you are really competent in what you are saying. You really know a lot about the game." And that was that made me really happy, because while I want the streams to be fun, I also try to give some knowledge and some meaningful insights to the games.
Totally. And I think this is still important to us to this day. And if you are maybe trying to start out as casters as well, I think this should always be your base. If you're
Yeah.
trying to be involved in casting in whatever game, you enjoy, in whatever game you're trying to get into, be knowledgeable first. Because nothing is more awkward than saying stuff in front of hundreds or maybe thousands of viewers that just doesn't make sense. Like, for example, let's just say I would be a League of Legends caster. And actually, that's a pretty good example because I don't know League of Legends very well at all. And therefore, I would probably just say stuff that is insanely stupid. And that's
Yeah.
just, even though I might be funny, people would still be like, why is this guy there? He knows nothing about the game. That doesn't make any sense. So just definitely get your facts straight before you get into any kind of casting job.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes in the games you mess up a little bit. That happens if you are trying to be funny and the game is really complex and you're at a big decision point where there's like 20 options. You can go wrong from time to time, but that just happens. I mean, you still
course, of
put
course.
out some options. It makes a little bit of sense, and sometimes you forget that Dweller boosts all of the water monsters.
But yeah, I mean, of course, like little hiccups will always happen. Like obviously, it's like that
Especially
in
with us.
every industry, yeah. And so we did that. We did German nationals right after. So we were like, hey, this is somehow going into a pretty big direction. Now all of a sudden, we are the casters in Germany somehow. How did it become like that? But all of a sudden, people were looking at us at like the two guys from Germany that are running the German events, right? So that was pretty sick because we did it for the Card Sports League, we did it for Austrian nationals, we did it for German nationals. So it was becoming somewhat of a thing that we are doing it, and we were super happy about it. We were like, okay, this is the Olymp, this is everything we ever wanted. Let's stop it here. Nothing else can happen. But then after this, not even too long after our first German nationals, there was, of course, Euros. It's always like that. There's nationals and then there's Euros.
Right.
And this was actually, again, as in our initial story, you were quicker on that than I was because you were traveling to, it was Utrecht back in the day, right? Yeah, it was Utrecht. And you were traveling to Utrecht very early on Friday or already on Thursday or something. So you were on site Friday morning. And I was traveling there on Friday. So I was only getting there Friday 6 p.m. or something. Pretty late. And then I was regretting that immediately because you were giving me a text being like, hey, I just got asked to cast a couple of the rounds for the Invitational. And I mean, as it was this year in for the Euros, there was that Invitational with 8 players for that particular tournament back in the day on Friday. And you were asked to cast that. And I was like, shit, that would have been my chance as well. I would have loved to do that. But also at the same time, I was kind of happy because only the idea of it, I was shitting my pants. No, for real. Like, because we did German casting a lot before that. And yes, of course, we also did English casting for the Card Sports League. But like, I was nowhere near as confident as I'm nowadays in talking English in front of a camera. Like, it was definitely a different beast for me back in the day. And I would have been very, very, very nervous to do that. So that was actually kind of insane. And so to tell from your perspective how it went down on that Friday, because you were, did you suspect it at all, or were you just completely surprised by it on Friday?
Oh, I was completely shocked by it, but someone approached me. I think it might have been Ollie that time. I think he might have hosted the event.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, we could use your help commentating over those. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. I will absolutely do this for free, which is not the best start point for a negotiation, by the way. Let me tell you that. But I just went there with. I had short pants on, so not the regular suit, and someone had to borrow me a buttoned-up shirt. So I was just sitting there commentating over Jonas Kosche making it to the World Championships, which was absolutely insane to me, as it was this year.
Yeah.
And man, that was the most hype ever. And then, I mean, we both got to play the main event on Saturday. We both did exceptionally terrible. So I think I went X3 or something. You as well. I was playing Thunder Dragon, Guard Dragon, not my best choice.
But I just want to add on. I did start to play day 2. I was about to beat my first round opponent in round 2, and then Ollie came in and was like, yeah, he's going to give you the win, because he knew I was X3 and I'm probably not, like, it was basically impossible to top. And Ollie, the host of the tournament, just came to my table and told my opponent, yeah, you are winning. He's so kind, he will let you win because I need him now. And then I was brought over to the big stage, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got to cast the Dragon Duel finals to crown the European champion, which was, I think, Eric Töpel.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah, and some other games we got to witness the perfect handshake of Ding Kang Fang and Max Frövel, which was my personal highlight of the event, not gonna lie. And again, we had shorts on, borrowed button-ups. It was an amazing experience again. And after that, it didn't take too long until we got to cast Rent.
Probably right, because that was the end of the season, and then it must have just been the next YCS, right? It probably was just we were like kind of tried out there. We got our foot into the European circle for casting, and from there on we were on. Yeah, I mean we were at least getting our first YCS on. That's what I want to say.
Yes, and
that was sick.
Rent was crazy already. Now the first time suiting up properly for a European event, getting to meet all of these people from backstage that you have only seen from afar, and I mean the tournament was amazing. It felt great. We had funny coincidences in the tournament. Jonas Koschel versus Kevin Cutter, Mystic Mind deck out, fantastic plays.
Great match, yeah.
It was just making me incredibly... I was super overwhelmed. I think we did an okay job. We weren't actually paired as a team back then, if you remember.
That was a weird thing at first, because as most of you probably, if you have ever seen us casting together, know, our casting kind of strives from the two of us being together, because we are very good in bouncing back and forth between each other. Like, we are working as a team very well. Like, our casting career started together very early on. We kind of leaned into that picture of us being the casting duo, now sitting at the casting desk here for the podcast. And therefore, it was kind of took us apart there. That was something we did. Did we even expect it? Leo, you still there? Yeah. Second, I think you are Robo Leo for a quick moment.
Yeah, sorry, it just had a little bit of a lag. So, is it better now?
Seems like you're better now. Chat, can you give me a quick feedback on whether the stream is going fine? Because it's kind of giving me the loading sign here. No, it looks better. It looks a lot better. Okay, yeah, let's continue. So,
we just had a technician here for the internet, so that might have been an issue.
I see. So, therefore, we were doing that, and it was our first YTS. And I think because the podcast is now already going for quite a while, I would say let this be our last event that we are talking about for this episode of the podcast. And so probably we can just talk about more stuff and going more into the future for our second episode then. But yeah. I think one thing that I can say is that it felt completely different. When I remember me casting that event, and I'm comparing it to me casting a YCS nowadays. For example, for me casting YCS London this year, it's two completely different things, because nowadays I feel way more included. I feel like I have way more influence on the general process of the coverage. I feel like I'm way more of a heard part of the team, and I think I'm actually just a big part of it. And back in the day, I was like, yeah, I'm here, I'm casting, I'm trying to do my best, but I don't even know whether I'm that good at this.
You have to prove yourself, basically, all
Can you? Yeah. Okay. We're back. We're back. It was also a very big part of our start as casters because in the beginning, for the first gigs we did, it was all kind of improvised. A lot of weird stuff was happening. The most crazy technical difficulties you could imagine were occurring. So it's only fitting that we also had some kind of technical difficulties here for our first episode of the podcast.
Has to be. But I think maybe for Spotify or something we can cut this out. This is maybe a possibility.
Yeah, we can try it out.
But yeah, technical difficulties we had quite a lot. We had some events where we basically had 2 pixels to work with, and then we had to discuss hot dogs for over an hour.
Yeah, that happened. We had some very interesting topics to fill the gaps.
That is indeed true.
Those were definitely fun. Definitely fun. So, I think we shall wrap it up here, right? I think we talked about this now for quite a while. I hope that our listeners do enjoy this type of content. Definitely make sure if you're listening to this on YouTube to let us know in the comments whether you enjoyed it, whether you want us to continue this. We are, I think, very eager. I think that was, for me personally, a bunch of fun. I really liked this, so we should really try to do this again. And we will try to do this, to deliver this on a monthly base. So definitely make sure to look out for this again in 1 month from now, because that should be when episode 2 is airing. We will look for a topic until then. But I would say for now, thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you very much for listening from myself as well. It was a heck of a lot of fun, as you already said. And yeah, see you guys or hear you guys in a month.